All right, I will call our public council meeting for Monday, June 14th, 2021 to order. Welcome, everybody. First item, new business. Councilor Glenn.
Just a thanks.
Okay. Councilor Pollard.
Pass.
Councilor Thorne-Goss.
Pass.
Councilor Roach.
Welcome back.
Okay. There's a bit of feedback there. Councillor Martin sends his regrets, as well as the deputy mayor, and I got a thanks and a welcome. All right, and we have some questions here for the first Q&A, and I have them, they're on our agenda, they'll get added as we move forward. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda as amended, please?
So moved. Second.
Moved, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried. All right, first item, public council meeting minutes dated May 17th, 2021. Could I get a motion to adopt those, please?
So moved.
Seconder?
Second.
Seconded. Any errors or omissions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. We had no proclamations, no presentations, Q&A. All right, I got a few here, and I'll try and go through them as quick as I can. I guess the easiest way is just to read them out. We don't have any pressing thing here that we can't do it. So this one is from Paula Lancaster. Dear Mayor, Scott, and Council, I hope you're all well. As a follow-up to my Q&A at the last meeting about town water, the original email is below with her signature. There are two parts to her question. Is there a document that has this information, including a timeline for all efforts, resources going towards all aspects of our water supply? Second, is there a mapping of resident experience with town water? So, and she's talking about having a meeting with residents to go over the issues with the water and the efforts that we're making. I think that the mapping piece that she's talking about is a good idea, and I think that, I don't know if formally or informally, our staff are probably doing that now anyway, keeping track of where we have issues with water, if there's more in one area than another, or if new issues start to crop up. And I think that it's important that residents, when they have issues with their water or sewer or any town service, to contact the town directly so that it can be logged and kept track of, and that the staff can address them. And it's unfortunate sometimes that people don't contact the town and make those, I hate to call them complaints, but that's what they are, complaints, or to raise an issue or to let us know that there's an issue with their water or their sewer or their garbage or whatever else is going on, that if we don't hear about it directly, then it's hard for us to know. So the more information we get, the better. So I hope, Paula, that answers your question. With regards to having a graphic, that's something I'm sure that we can get done up as we move forward to our water supply issues, in particular with our water treatment application that we have in with the government. When we start to get things on that, then we'll be able to share it with the residents. And we do have some things around water, regards to capacities and pressures and stuff like that, that we might be able to share as we go forward when we get our zone metering in place. So I hope that answers that question. And for those who haven't seen the whole question, it will be in our council minutes of the next meeting. So if anybody wants to go read exactly what she was talking about, they can go and do that. What else do I have? Okay, and I have another one here from Madeline Florent, Torbay resident. So she's asking, first thing is about parking at Silverhead Mine Pat Trailhead. Her question is a follow-up to a question asked by a resident during last council meeting concerning the lack of parking at Silver Mine Head Trailhead on Motion Drive. Silver Mine Head Path has been extremely popular since the bridge was built, and especially since the start of the pandemic. Currently, the only parking is on the side of the road just past post office boxes. They can fill up quickly on weekends. The shoulder of the road is very narrow, and this can cause some slowdowns in traffic. The issue of parking at the trailhead had been under discussion since around 2011, when the East Coast Trail established the trailhead as the Motion Drive site. Mayor Codner told the association that council will provide the parking as it is in kind contribution to the pad. Plans were being drawn up at the time for a lookout trailhead, and parking was to be incorporated into these plans. However, you may recall that the lookout was never built because of the potential future erosion problems at the site. Since then, solutions to the issue of hiker parking at Motion Drive were discussed many times with mayor and council, and the consensus seemed to be that the easiest way to provide extra parking at the site was for town to install culverts and fill in the ditches, thereby increasing the area of land available for the parking. Well, the council followed through on these plans. Okay, that was, to me, this is the first time I heard about filling in the ditches and making it, so it might be the prior council was talking about that. I do know that the town owns some land up in that area. If we were planning on putting a lookout there with parking, then maybe we could still do the parking and not the lookout. I'm sure our staff can have a look at that and see what we got over there. And there is also, and I know people have a tendency to want to park close exactly to where they're going, but there is I know there's a cul-de-sac over there that's relatively empty. There's no houses built in it yet, so there's additional parking along that road to be able to get there, so we'll have a look at it and see what we can figure out. Speed calming in enemy line. So 2 or 3 years ago, there were many complaints about speeding in enemy line, which included a petition from residents requesting that the town consider speed calming measures. As she recalls, enemy line was added to the speed calming review, and residents told the province had given the town permission for the installation of speed bumps as needed. Residents were also told that money for speed bumps was not available fiscal year, but funds would be incorporated into the following year's budget. Since that time, no speed calming measures have been implemented at enemy line. Don't see them mentioned in council updates. What are the plans for speed calming at enemy line? This is something that we've discussed recently. I've actually reached out to MHA Wall to have a discussion with the minister, because getting told by someone that you can go ahead and do something is not the same as having permission in writing from the minister, which is what it requires to put speed calming measures on a provincial highway, because it goes against the Highway Traffic Act. So in order to be able to do it, you have to have something, obviously for the town, we'd have to have something in writing from the minister, and we're working on that right now. I know that MHL Wall and I discussed it, and he's going to see if he can get that for us. We haven't been able to get it in the past. I know that there was a meeting between some residents and the minister and Mayor Tapper, I think, a few years ago, man, it's 4 or 5 years ago now, at that time, and the impression that I got was that we were going to receive something soon with regard to permission. So once we get that, I know that the speed calming measures that were looked at for enemy line, I guess we could look at moving forward with that at that time. So until we get that actual permission, there's really, we can't do much, but we can go back and look for it. So that's kind of where we're to with that. Here's another question from Ronnie O'Neill. Good morning. I have some questions around the quarry and the hours of operation in there that I would like to ask tonight during the council meeting, please. Several times in the past few weeks, operators in the quarries in the Middle Trail and Pond area have been working outside the permitted hours as regulated by the town's mineral working conditions, especially operating on Sunday. The town council staff, municipal enforcement have been advised, yet this continues to happen. The sound of rock crushing is extremely loud and can be heard all Sunday. These regulations were put in place so residents can have at least 1 day reprieve and enjoy their properties and not hear heavy equipment and rock crushing. Middle Trail and Pond is also recreation, hiking cabins, fishing, etc., and graveyard where people tidy graves and visit deceased loved ones. What is council doing to ensure municipal mineral working conditions are being followed? Will a stop work order be issued until the town gets a written assurance from the operator that mineral working conditions, such as hours of operation, will be followed, because warnings do not seem to be working? Thank you and have a great day. Thank you, Ronnie, for your question. And I did go in there on Sunday myself, as I live right there, and I could hear the equipment going. The gate was locked, and I was speaking to our commissioners, and they couldn't access the site. Since then, I know that our director of planning has been in contact with the operator of the quarry, and there was some misunderstanding there on the weekend. There were some people there that are going to be working on the blasting that's happening Thursday. They were in there preparing, and I guess they weren't aware that they weren't supposed to be in there, and the owner of the facility wasn't aware that they were there. So there was some communication breakdown there. I do know that we have some additional contact information for the owners of that property, and it's been circulated to our municipal enforcement so that they can call them directly if there's an issue around the if they're operating outside their approved hours and our working conditions. So there was a number of emails, communications that were going around this weekend about that, and I know that Director Schwartz has dealt with all of those, and I think that you have a plan going forward, right? Yeah, okay, all right, so I hope that answers your question. All right, I think that's all of them. Is it done? Okay, thank you to people for submitting questions. If you hear something during the council meeting that you would like to ask about or get a further clarification, please feel free to send your email to dchaplin@torbay.ca during the meeting, and we'll try our best to address it at the end. All
May
right.
I ask a question dealing with water? I tried to get your attention at the time, but you were reading the thing, right? I was wondering that with we have great water here. I know all through Newfoundland and in Canada and that, but the amount that we use as a household, will the correct committee, Public Works, I guess, is it, be discussing meters or how much each household is using, rather than waste an awful lot? Because we don't think that when you're brushing your teeth, if you don't turn off your tap each time it's in your mouth, all that water's gone down the drain and out to the ocean. But a lot of other things are happening too.
Right.
So we don't want to lose that. We don't want to lose our water and everything like that. But I don't know how other provinces, if they do that, or I've heard of water meters and stuff like that, but I think there's a price for those. I don't know. So I'd like to just hear more on that.
We've never discussed as a council
No.
putting meters on people's houses, but we are installing new zone meters. I think there's 5 or 6 that we're putting throughout the town.
And that will tell us how much each area is
Yeah,
losing there.
and
Okay.
it'll also help us identify
That's
any
right.
leaks that we might have.
Okay, that's great.
Okay,
Thanks.
all right. All righty.
And just any additional questions with regards to the quarry we can bring up at the committee level, right?
Right, yes.
Or
Everything,
committee go around this.
all of these questions that people send in also get forwarded to the appropriate committee. I think you sort of mentioned that, Jeff. So the issues around the parking at the trail and all, they'll be forwarded to the planning committee or public works or whatever committee that you need to go to for a more detailed look at it. I mean, I try my best to provide as much or as good an answer as I can, but more detailed information can come from the committee and staff. Mayor's report. I'm just going to give a quick little synopsis here. So I just want to say congratulations to Don, Ann, and Brian, who were recognized at PMA for 15 years of service with the town of Torbay this past weekend, right? Was that PMA? Congratulations. I'd also like to congratulate and thank Wayne Cole on 18 years of service with the town of Torbay on June 3rd. And staff birthdays. Month of June. Councillor Glenn, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you very much.
Scotty Martin, happy birthday. Julia Schwartz, happy birthday. And Leon Harris, happy birthday to you all. I don't think I missed anybody. It's good, this brand new list that we got. And I'd also like to mention that on Saturday, I was able to attend tree planting with the Lions Club at Torbay Common. And we were there for, I don't know, we weren't there that long, but we planted 100 trees anyway. So we were a small but mighty group. And we planted along the back of the property and up the side. And I think that's an excellent initiative. And now that we know that we can do that, we'll already start looking for places that we can start putting them next year. We get, this year we got 100 trees, maybe next year we'll get 1,000 and see where they go. But anyway, I want to thank the Lions Club for that. It's a great initiative, and thank them for inviting me over to go. And That's that. All right, any business arising from the minutes? No, perfect. Correspondence. So we have a correspondence here from Canada Post. I'll briefly go over it. Basically, they wrote a letter to me and on behalf of council and residents, thanking us for the input that we provided with the post office. You know what, it's just as easy for me to read this so people can hear it. Dear Mr. Mayor, thank you for your letter on behalf of the Town Council residents regarding postal service in Torbay, providing input from the community. I regret the delay in replying while all issues surrounding our service and comments received were being reviewed by our retail team, and I also following up on our recent conversations. I hope I've been able to convey that we always strive to meet the needs of customers with such decisions that are deliberated. I know it was disappointing for you to hear about the final decision to relocate the postal operations. Please allow me to provide the details. In Torbay, it became clear over the past few years that the adequate space to maintain efficient and safe postal operations was becoming an issue needing resolution. In 2018, changes were made to the equipment and layout, modifications that provided insufficient, confirming the current facility, insufficient to alleviate congestion. Relocation project was more recently considered after confirming the current facility could not be expanded to ensure a safe work environment for employees as well as meet the demand, maintain efficient service for our customers in your community. Public consultation is an important step before making a decision to relocate the post office. Posters were put up at the post office and handouts were distributed in postal boxes and available at the counter during the consultation period from February 1st to July 23rd. We recognize the unusual circumstances during the pandemic, and the consultation period input received was extended for 12 weeks, quite a bit longer than usual. They took into account all the input they received. Feedback was collected, shared, reviewed, and weighed, considering all possible alternative options. For many reasons that include health and safety concerns during these challenging times, the decision was ultimately made to proceed with the relocation to 858 Torbay Road to offer the best possible postal service to local residents. Thank you for your availability to speak with me on April 28th with our General Manager of Government and Community Affairs, Chad Shella, on the call as well. Chad and I realized it was disappointing for you since it was not the news that you were hoping to receive. We appreciate your understanding and reason we presented to you. I assure you of our full commitment to offer reliable and efficient service to our customers in Torbay. We know our customers rely on us, and we look forward to continuing to provide the town residents with the level of expect from Canada Post in the future. And she would also like to, she mentioned that they have a new manager for the Atlantic region based in Moncton. So I guess I chose to read that whole thing out because we've been getting a lot of questions about that, and it's been an issue that's been ongoing now for several months since the winter. I think that as a council, to this point, we haven't left any stones unturned trying to find an alternative solution. We did submit several options to the post office. Unfortunately, none of them proved to be adequate to what they need to do. So I guess they're going to be working through the planning department now to deal with the issues around a new location, and I guess we'll keep working with Canada Post as they go forward. So that's that. There's a second letter here regarding to Jones Pond Trail. We'll forward that on to planning. There's a letter here from Youth Ventures, making lemonade with Youth Ventures, and this is asking us to. Youth Ventures is anticipating yet another great summer. Youth Ventures program is now in operation Northeast Avalon, so I guess they're looking for our support. With young entrepreneurs in previous years, the fees, business permits, taxes, and license have been waived. So we'll forward this on to Community Services, I guess, to have a look, and planning. Municipal Assessment Agency, new assessments are out. Got mine in the mail the other day. Assessment went down. It's all good, I guess. depending
Yes.
if you want your assessment to go up or go down. So I got a tax break this year. Thank
We all
you.
did.
Thanks, council. Bauline line road safety, and this is a email that came to me the other day. It was also forwarded to the MHA and to the Minister of Transportation. And I don't know who else from council was on it. I know Deputy Mayor was on it. I did respond to the resident, and I guess the MHA responded to him as well. So that's another issue, similar to Enemy Line, where we're dealing with a provincial road, and they're in there now paving it. So once they get all the potholes and bumps and humps out of there, I'm sure it's going to be a lot worse than it is now. I know I see a lot of heavy speeding traffic on that stretch, particularly in front of my house. I'm not going to say it's any different because it's the longest stretch probably on Bauline Line, and the speeds of cars going along there is crazy sometimes, and we'll see what we can do about that. Anybody have any questions about any of those correspondence? So that last one has gone already to Public Works, I think, isn't it? Okay. All right, thank you. All right. Committees of Council, Committee of the Whole meeting, minutes, May 17th, 2021. There's a motion in here. I guess we've already passed those minutes. And we got to adopt those. Could I get a motion to adopt those, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, carried. Committee to hold minutes from June 7th, 2021. There is one error there.
Just a quick point of order. Peggy, were you at the committee of the whole meeting?
Doesn't matter, she can still.
I thought you could vote on it, I think you could second it.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I'm wrong. I was just, sorry not to be a rules geek. I
All
just
right.
want to make sure it's not in order, that's all.
She can
Definitely
second it?
Okay. I wasn't sure what moving seconder, I knew you could vote on it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's the same as any other committee, right? Like anybody can second it.
Okay, roger that.
Okay, that's all right.
Committee to hold minutes from June 7th. Can I get a motion to adopt those, please?
One of the ones that, well, no, I haven't got it on my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I get
One of the ones that I seen,
there's an error in,
there
but we
was.
got a motion first, right?
Okay,
The error is that I wasn't there.
Yes.
Yeah.
okay.
Could I get a motion to adopt, please?
So moved.
Moved, seconded.
Second.
Errors or omissions? Yes, there's an error.
Yes,
I was not in attendance.
that's right.
Can we, all right. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. And there's, this last one is just information, right? That goes along with the meeting?
Correct.
We don't need to adopt that.
No, that's in indices to the presentation.
All right, okay. Okay, thank you. All right. Planning land use development. Councilor Torngas.
Can't help from the smile over at Councillor Pollard's. Anyway, he knows the reason why. We had our meeting on May 25th and on June 1st, so where we missed the last one. So if I see some of these come up, and I guess I'm looking at it earlier and it should all be fine, but where it's the minutes where I'm bringing it forward for two meetings,
Okay.
it may be a little bit different. Anyway, 3 Bernice Drive, C2021-053/MV2021-003. Minor variance request, frontage development standards, RI and RUL land use zone. The town is in receipt of an application to construct a single dwelling with subsidiary apartment at 3 Bernice Drive. The applicant is requesting a 10% variance to decrease the minimum required frontage development standard at 3 Bernice Drive from 30 to 27 meters to be able to accommodate the dwelling at the minimum required 15 meters setback. No written representations were received in response to the public notice. I've got a motion to approve the 10% variance request to reduce the minimum required frontage development standard to 27 meters to be able to accommodate the development of a single dwelling with subsidiary apartment at 3 Bernice Drive. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The next one is 16 Sprucewood Lane, C2021-020, residential large lot, RLL, proposed in-law suite discretionary use. The town is in receipt of an application proposing to construct a single dwelling with in-law suite at 16 Sprucewood Lane. A proposed in-law suite is a discretionary use in the RLL use zone, subject to public notification. No written representations were received in response to the public notice. The committee considered background information and provided on the proposal and concurs with the development and recommends conditional approval of the application. Motion to conditionally approve a proposed single dwelling with in-law suite at 16 Sprucewood Lane, subject to meeting conditions for in-law suites in Torbay. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The next one, 2 Cherrywood Drive, BR 2021-004, residential large lot, home office in connection with construction business. This is discretionary use. The town is in receipt of an application proposed to establish a home office for a business installing construction products. The proposed home office use is listed as a discretionary in RLL land use and is subject to public notification. The town did not receive any written representations in response to the notice. The committee considered background information provided on the proposal and concurs with the development and recommends conditional approval of the application. Therefore, the following motion is tabled. Motion to conditionally approve application BR 2021-004 in accordance with regulations 33 and 90 of the Torbay Development Regulations 2015 to 2025, and to issue a conditional approval for a home office in connection with construction business at 2 Cherrywood Drive. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
38 Motion Drive, C2021-046/MV2021-002, variance request accessory building lot coverage, RMD land use zone. The town is in receipt of an application proposing to construct an extension to the rear of an existing accessory building at 38 Motion Drive. The applicant is requesting a 10% variance to increase the maximum permitted accessory building to coverage to 93.5 meters. No written representations were received in response to the public notice. A detailed background report on the Planning Committee minutes of June 1st, 2021 are attached for reference that form part of this motion. The committee considered background information provided on the proposal, concurs with the department, and recommends conditional approval of the application, subject to ensuring that all other accessory buildings are removed from the rear yard. Therefore, the following motion is tabled. The motion is to approve the 10% variance to increase the maximum permitted accessory building lot coverage to 93.5 meters to be able to accommodate an extension to the rear of the existing accessory building at 38 Motion Drive. So moved.
Second.
Moved, seconded. Questions?
And we just put that in there. Apparently, there is currently another building in the back. So in order for this is why we're asking for the other one to be removed.
Okay, all right. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
C2020-196, 33 Gosses and Rogers Crescent, infill lot, substandard rear yard setback. The town is in receipt of an application proposing to construct a service single-family dwelling with subsidiary apartment at 33 Gosses and Rogers Crescent. The applicant is requesting a reduction to the minimum required rear yard depth. Condition number 16, listed in the RMD Land Use Zone Table, grants council the authority to consider this proposal. The committee reviewed the information provided in the background report and has no objection to the proposal and concurs with the department's recommendation for conditional approval. Motion is to conditionally approve application C2020-196 in accordance with condition 16 of the RMD Land Use Zone Table and the Torbay Development Regulations 2015 to 2025, and to issue a conditional approval subject to no further variances being able to be considered for the subject property. So moved.
Second.
Moved, seconded. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Independent Commissioners for Public Hearings, Urban and Rural Planning Act 2000, establishment of commissioners listing. I'm not going to get into the background on all of this. I don't think that that's really needed. I'm going to go just with the recommendation. The committee concurs with the department on placing three candidates on the town's list of independent commissioners in keeping with the town's reference document, so council can call upon the candidates in rotating order for amendment-specific appointments. Therefore, the following motion will be tabled. Motion to appoint Stephen, Tony, what's his?
Yep, check.
Stefan Zekjep, Gerard Lewis, and Dan Noseworthy to the Town of Torbay's list of independent commissioners for public hearings. Said candidates being placed on the list in alphabetical order to be called upon in rotating order for amendment-specific appointments by council in accordance with the requirements of the Urban and Rural Planning Act 2000. So moved.
Second.
Mover, seconder. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And motion here to accept the permit listings for the periods of May 17 to June 10, 2021 as presented. So moved.
Second.
Mover, seconder. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Now,
You got anything else that you want to talk about?
I'm just looking at the minutes of June 1st, if there's anything in there that anybody has got any, rather than going down over details. I'm just going to probably mention in here that an update with Wood Group water allocations. The director advised that Wood Group continues accessing more recent flow meter data to confirm an update on yield and demand. It is hoped that further information or direction can be provided to the committee of the whole over the next few days. And then there's a follow-up meeting where we actually spoke with Wood, and there's supposed to be, I don't know if there's an update on that, Julia, to know when they might start doing some work on the water allocations.
We're working with them on that, and but we also have requested other direction on the matter, right, in terms of the allocations. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Development applications and land use matters, 7 Darrell Pod Drive. The committee cited that there are existing drop-offs on the road, with the road was constructed for the school at the time, and noted that there was only one response to the public notice. The application is forwarded to committee of the whole for discussion and further direction. And of course, we had talked about having it at the meeting tonight, but there's still work that needs to be done with regards to 51 North Pond Road. And the committee noted that there are residents against and there are residents for the proposal, and that the committee requested the director summarize the pros and the cons of this application for review in terms of addressing some of the concerns. The committee stated the council is addressing some of the traffic concerns through the creation of three-way stop speed bumps that were approved at the last public council meeting. The committee has requested that further engineering review is provided on the matter of the water pressure concerns raised, and that the file is forwarded to the committee of the whole for council for further review. I don't know if there's anything else. Everything else seems to be. We did bring up about the post office, and that, well, the mayor touched about on that earlier, that a memo was posted saying that they would be moving to the new location with an increase in traffic is 100 to 180 vehicles per day at the existing post office, and Christmas time as well, a lot more than that. So the committee has requested that Canada Post and building owner are contacted advising of application required and concerns raised thus far.
Good. Is that it?
I think that's it.
All right, any questions?
I've got a question. I know you talked about the quarry concerns. Is this the proper committee to ask some questions about that now?
Yeah?
Okay. So I have a couple concerns, and I had seen the emails go back and forth. I didn't hear I guess I heard for the first time how you clarified there that you'd speak with someone. The explanation was
Julia sent out a communication today to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did
no,
that
I-
go to all the council? Yeah, with the.
Yes, I saw that. I guess I didn't notice didn't register the part of the explanation for why that was occurring, right? And so I guess the explanation was the folks getting ready for the blast were in there and they weren't aware they weren't supposed to be there. So as you said that, actually kind of raised a bit of a flag in my head, because, you know, when we did those minimal working regulations, I remember me and you had it out pretty good, right? And, you know, we ended up to a good spot. And one of those good spots was that, hey, you have to follow these regulations quite clearly. They're very specific, right? For all the concerns that we have for people there. So concern A, that they weren't aware of it. So I'm saying if they're doing a blast in a couple of days, or if they're doing a blast in a couple of days, have we confirmed that they're aware of all the different
Yes.
things?
Yes.
Because apparently they weren't a couple of days ago, right?
Well, the blasting piece is separate. I already received a letter at my house saying there's going to be a blast on Thursday, so they've done their part with regard to that.
Okay, and you brought up I kind of hate to be a stickler here, but I went and just looked it up. Our regulations specifically say, gotta go from Monday to Friday and all that good things. And this is the part that I remember me and you were arguing about, how we're gonna force this, what's the teeth, and I remember saying like, yeah, it's gonna be a slap on the wrist and it's gonna happen, blah, 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 right? But the section 19, the final thing in the minimal working conditions say, failure to adhere to these conditions shall result in the town revoking its approval of the operation and issuing a stop work order on the property, right? So, I'm not saying that, I just think we need to point out that this says, if you break these rules, for example, if you're busting rocks on Sunday, disturbing the neighborhood, and you're not supposed to be doing that, then we have in our policy, we shall revoke its approval of its operation. So, it's just, you know how you say we shall and we may, but as I looked it up, I would be remiss if I didn't. Our rules actually say, if you do that, the repercussions is that we revoke your approval of your operation.
Right. But I think staff are addressing that. They've been communicating with the operator. So, you know, it's a business operating in there, so, you know, we're doing our due diligence. If it continues to happen, if somebody continues to not follow our regulations, then certainly we could revoke a permit.
I guess, but it doesn't say failure to take the first 5 warnings. It says if you're, that was the whole point.
I hear you.
All right, so I'm just saying what we were supposed to do, if we're following these regulations, we're supposed to take much more drastic action than, hey, promise you're not do it again, because again, I guess the concern, and this is the problem with, you know, the crux of the debate for these types of things, right? For, you know, particularly quarries have been very sticky, and that would, these regulations specifically were supposed to put people's ease at mind. Because remember one time they were saying, hey, we're getting rid of all quarries. We're like, no, it's okay, we're gonna go with these things and we're gonna stick to them no matter what. And we're not following our regulation when it comes to the minimal working conditions of our town, so.
Okay, I don't know that we're not following them. We're following them and working through them, but we
Well-
haven't revoked a permit. if that's
Right, so I'm just saying, number 19 says, if this, then that.
Right.
And that's the whole point. That is the exclamation point on, hey guys, these, to say I wasn't aware of the rules isn't good enough for the residents in the area.
Fair enough.
For example, right?
Well, I'm
And it's
here.
supposed to be that if you don't do it, and that, you know, not saying we should kick them out of the town altogether, but there's supposed to be some type of repercussions, right? We can't, you know, fine them, nothing like that, but we said we were gonna revoke their license, and now
Well, I think that we couldn't contact them on the weekend. We were having issues contacting them, and the commissioners couldn't get on the site, and I couldn't get in there. I went in there and had a look, so I know our staff are working on it. They're working through it. If a recommendation comes from the committee to revoke a permit, then it'll come. If it comes from staff that's the route that we should go, then eventually I guess that would come forward from the committee.
yeah, but again,
I know, but I mean,
it's not a optional.
I hear you,
This
but
decision was made. Just kind of.
I know, I hear you, and there's, you know, there's lots of our bylaws where they say that we could do lots of things, and we don't always do it right away the first time either, right? So I guess we
So-
try and work with people first.
I support what Councillor Gallant is saying, but also too, what he's reading is not what they received, I don't think, because they were given the opinion because we told them that it was passed and all that stuff.
No, this is a different quarry. This is one that's operating.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
So we're okay with not.
Well, I'm okay with letting our staff deal with the issue now as it is within their purview to be able to deal with it. If it continues on, if they feel that there's additional matters that council need to take, then we'd have to take them.
And just one final thing, if I may. I don't know if I can extend my time or ask the commission. Just
go ahead.
in summary, because my point is not even trying to be trying to give penalties or something like that to the business. That's one concern, right?
Right.
Second concern is following rules concern. That's, you know, broken record sometimes. But my main concern, I guess, is that that blasting has happened in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Are they fully aware of every single, like, because, you know, making noise on a Sunday is one thing, and hey, I didn't know this, but is there any reasonable cause for concern that there might not be the full
No.
blasting rules,
Adherence.
awareness, and adhesion to?
I don't think so, because in order to get their approval to blast, they have to complete this. They have to give us seismic readings, all this stuff. They have to notify all the residents in the area. I know I've already received my notification, so I think everything is, that's a different issue, right, Julia? The blasting piece?
Should be a main piece.
In summary, yes. So one was the noise operation, and then the other one is the kind of them submitting all the required information to be able to do the blast. And there was other issues with trucking and so forth. So really there's kind of almost three things going on right now. But they are complying and they are submitting the required information. And there's a certified blasting company undertaking the blast, and they have to, you know, do radio notifications and notify the airport tower and notify area residents and so forth. So that's all coming in right now. And the notification to our residents is going out shortly via our own social media channels. So that's all there. Yep.
I guess just where a couple of these rules weren't already followed, I just ask that please take a look at this with a very fine-tooth comb. If there's any I's dotted or T's not crossed, then don't feel like you need council permission to adhere to the regulations as written.
Yeah, and it has been reiterated that there will be no more warnings issued. So if there's any non-compliance, then the stop work order will be issued. But they've been communicative, and there was that one miscommunication, and I suppose it's always helpful to remind people as a new season begins, and they're getting excited to. I'm saying excited, but as operators, I guess that's what they're doing, getting ready for the blast and so forth. So it's just, and there's multiple parties involved. So I always try to keep the lines of communications open. And there was the issue that the commissioners couldn't get access to the site and actually talk to the operator, which they were aware and were asked to keep an eye on the situation. So it's unfortunate because that would have helped to alleviate a whole bunch of things and emails and concerns from area residents. Yeah.
Just one last thing, and I apologize for going over my time. Please gallop me if you want me to stop. It's important though. Just for the record again, I'm glad. Hope they all successful blasting operations. They do everything safely and go do business. But again, the failure to adhere to the things is not a warning. It's so anything happens going forward. It says just they might need a reminder, so like a reminder of the rest of the things, that failure to adhere to these shall result in the town revoking its approval of the operation. So that one thing was made, I think it made very clear. So.
All right, thank you. Any other questions?
In the midst of all of that,
Go ahead.
I found another set of minutes from June 8. And I just wanted to touch on a couple.
Yeah, go ahead.
Of
Right.
things there, right, where we did have, and then in the midst of all of this, we had the committee, the whole meeting too, so I know that, I knew starting out it was probably going to get a little bit complicated. But anyway, on June 8th, we had a meeting, and I think that it's worth mentioning that the committee reviewed a pre-application inquiry for a post and rope fence proposal where property backs onto the conservation zone on the East Coast Trail. This was down in Motion View. Close, and the inquiry had also been reviewed by the Torbay Environment Advisory Committee and the Stewardship Association of Municipalities. And committee had a concern with the proposal as it would be setting a precedence potentially limiting the public to access the trail in the future and entice others to do the same in the conservation and stewardship zones. In addition, it may also invite hikers to use the structures and gather in the area. As the town has had similar requests for fencing in the conservation steward zone in the recent past, the committee supports staff developing a policy regarding fencing along trail routes in the town to provide long-term guidance on this matter. And the other thing that I want to bring forward is, just that the commissioners will be invited into our next meeting. And the provincial forestry plan, we had an email from the Department of Fisheries and Land Resources and regarding the public engagement process that is being launched to review the new 5-year forestry plan. The town of Torbay has been invited to review and provide commentary on Area 1, which includes Torbay, and based on the director's preliminary review, it appears that there are 3 domestic woodcutting areas where boundaries and operations would need to be reviewed. And the other one that I just want to mention is that on June 28th, we have a 2021 Green Team. And the committee was excited to learn that the 4 members of the Green Team will commence its term with the town on Monday, June 28, building new community garden at the Torbay Common. The committee fully supports the team collaborating with the local food bank, with our seniors' homes, and learning tips and tricks from the existing garden committee, thereby building pandemic resistance and increasing food security. In addition, they will be promoting wetland and habitat stewardship in Torbay and hosting environmental awareness days throughout the town. So keep your eyes peeled for the 4 Green Team youth as they spend their summer with us, greening and building community. That's
All right.
very exciting.
Ooh, nice.
It's nice to have something on a positive note.
I got a question.
Oh, no.
No, it's just about the pre-fence, whatever, post
Yeah.
and rope fence. So I just want to see if I understand what's going on here. So the person backs onto the East Coast Trail. Their property extends into the conservation zone.
That's the motion view, the same area.
They want to
that-
put the fence in the conservation zone post with
The
rope,
rope,
just to stop people from walking through the property. Is that what the reason?
pretty much, yeah.
Okay, and we don't allow that because we didn't allow it for a resident down here on Lower Street last year, just to put a little fence along the edge
Yes.
of the property, right?
Yes.
So I have a question though. So for instance, say I lived on the trail. Well, there are places along the trail where there is fence and it's agriculture, farming or whatever,
Yes.
right? Right there, look. So if that fence blew down, they'd obviously be able to put their fence back up. If we gotta make sure that we put in our regulation to make note of that. But if I owned that house here, down along there, what if I decided one day that I'm just gonna put a bunch of big 6-foot rocks along the back of my property? Is that considered development when you're only, I'm just curious that you wanna give some thought to that, because people are pretty smart, right? And they're intuitive in their ingenuity,
Well, if they're not, they are now.
right? But I mean, you know. Okay, there you go. But I'm just curious how that fit into that.
Well, when we went through this and we talked about it, this is somebody wanting to put a rope fence up.
Yeah.
So then the next person joins onto that.
Right.
And they put another standard. So that's why we got in and we talked about having some kind of a policy and look at what other towns are potentially doing here.
Fair enough.
Because I sit on the East Coast Trail Board that we have, and this is becoming an issue now with many towns. And we haven't really got it started here yet, but I think that we need probably to be proactive with this. And we even talked about, it's funny because the director had mentioned the type of fence that they even got over there with one of our other discussions where she went out to Bay Roberts to look at their garden tourism and even been able to get in and out. So what type of fence would be suitable if you went there? So this is only, I guess, getting discussion started. And the thing is with this here is to notice that it was a pre-application inquiry.
Okay.
That we never actually got the application, but I guess
Fair enough.
our alarm went off and say, this is how we need to look at this and where do we go? Because next thing you know, we're going to have people that want to go down and get on that trail. And now there's an issue with parking, but then where do they actually access the trail to if people got fences up? So
I know.
it just set off another alarm with
But that,
regards
you're right,
to-
that is an issue in other towns, particularly where the East Coast Trail might pass and it's not necessarily a conservation zone, but it crosses across private property, and the person gets, for whatever reason, they don't want it, they just put a fence up and block the trail.
Oh, we got it, yeah, different things with
Okay,
our, yeah, Jones,
Councillor.
different, our own trails within the town, so
Yeah.
it's a whole other thing when it pertains to the East Coast Trail.
Right, thank you. Councillor Thang?
Yeah, just real quickly, I know this is kind of, I know, again, we've harped on this over the years about including conservation zones into properties and why that's generally a bad idea, because then you set people up for this type of situation, right? You set the expectation and, you know, no debate or, you know, things we said or did, doesn't matter. Like, at the end of the day, people are going to say it's our property, we're going to be able to do it. Just for clarification though, is that conservation zone or is that stewardship zone? Councilor Thorngass?
No, I'm assuming that it's conservation,
It's
is
just
that?
it's
We
not
went to
official
both.
stewardship zone, is it?
It's both.
It's both. So when people say we need a policy, we do have a policy, and they say those buffers shall not be changed in any way. That's what. But again, that's what it says in the rules. So we got to enforce it.
All right, Councillor Roach?
Yes, but wouldn't a householder who's paying taxes to the town be allowed to protect their property, which borders right on a river or whatever, or, you know, not to use it for their own self, but to protect their own property, you know?
I guess that's where the debate comes up, right?
Yes, the big
And you want to have
debate,
something
too.
clear in place.
because, you know, I'm like sitting on the fence here now, and I don't know which way I'm going to fall, but anyway.
But you won't be sitting on a fence on the edge of a conservation zone.
Won't be allowed to go swimming down the reader.
All right. Okay,
The last thing that I got in here, I think that the committee, we talked about the town's climate change initiatives.
Yep.
And Director Swartz advised that the public consultation on the draft action plan has been completed. And once a meeting with the Torbay Environmental Advisory Committee has been held, a final recommendation on the plan will be forthcoming to the Committee of Council for adoption. Committee also asked about the 4 remaining adoption workshops to be held, and the Director will follow up with current pandemic protocols in place if it is possible to hold this in person. This is something that we'd like to get,
Right.
I
Back
guess,
on.
finalized this term of council.
Yep. No, it's a good idea, because now you could probably have it in person, as long as you can separate enough, right? Mm-hmm. All right. Sounds
Okay,
good.
that's
Thank
it.
you. You done now?
Done.
All right.
Done.
Thank you very much.
Don't give me any more
No,
time
you're
to
not
look for
Mary.
more notes.
Admin and Finance, Councillor Pollard.
Thank you, Your Worship. I thought you forgot about me there for a little while. And it's nice to see this, because that means I get lots of leeway now, because I got to and fro on both sides of me here
I know.
tonight, so we continue. The financial report, maybe a little longer than in most other times we get a chance to do this. There's 5 items, I guess, really, or to mention. Number 1 is that the income statement that we usually look at from an ongoing basis is there and included. I know I had some requests from residents to point them in the direction where it is, so it is in this package, and I do believe it was in the last package as well, but it's there now. I will not be doing any review of that at the present time. The invoices are here as well, the ones over $5,000 which we had to do. The audited financial statements are also here, and I will say in advance of doing a short review of the audit is we haven't reviewed it in committee of the whole yet. It is due for adoption by the 30th of June in order to maintain our good standing with the Community Sustainability Partnership, which is a requirement of government. So we have to have those statements filed by the 30th of June. There is nothing that we will talk about either here or at committee of the whole afterwards that, at least in my opinion, will affect the income statement as they are, because it's a historic document at the present time representing last year's operations, and it is what it is. If there's anything that comes out of it, it might be some minor operational issues that we may have to address, and I'll touch on those as I go through. And then the actual financial statements themselves are there, and a couple of HR motions. So I won't waste much more time. I'll just go right into it. I'll start off with the report itself. So the payroll for 34 employees for the 4-week period, May 12th through June 10th, 2021, total $219,341.89. Accounts payable for the period May 12th to June 10th amounted to $197,616.73. There are invoices here for approval, the ones over $5,000. May 2021 CIBC Mellon for the pension contribution for May in the amount of $18,106.24. The 2021 awards to Holy Trinity High School and their achievement awards for the year, and there's 112 students in the amount of $5,600. Newfoundland Power, the group billing for May in $15,374.53. Receiver General of Canada, May 1st to the 15th, for payroll remittances in the amount of $25,940.32. Receiver General also for the 16th to the 31st of May in the amount of $23,904.78. J.D. Miles Construction, exterior renovation for History House in the amount of $15,791.92. And Sports System, purchase of soccer nets in the amount of $9,715.20, all for a total of $88,925.87. So moved.
Second.
Moved, seconded. Questions?
Yeah.
Don?
Just a point of clarification, okay, just making sure the total here, because I have the 2 capital, and that's probably an error on my part, that is the total, that's correct, sorry.
Okay. Councillor Rungas?
And just to ask about the Holy Trinity
I was going to talk about
High, the Achievement Awards. for 112 students.
Yep.
Like, how does that come to be? Like, that
Normally-
seems to be a high,
It is.
number?
It is high. Normally, every year we do this, right? And it's usually between 35 and 40 students max, ever since I've been over, and Ralph and Bob and whoever before, ever since we started doing this. It's for students with an 80 or above average, so honor roll students. So this year, they got 112 students that made the honor roll, and I guess that's
Great, wow.
that's the reason that it's higher this year. I'm glad that we still went ahead and did it, because it's very important that, you know, particularly with the pandemic and all the stressors that students have been facing, it's nice that we can still continue with this program, with the recognition for kids that are getting honors through everything that they're doing now with working from home and working in school. Is it higher? Absolutely, it is, but I'm sure as we go forward, it'll get back to some normal.
That might
number.
be nice for us to do then, a positive blurb on it, because, I mean, when I read that first, what does that mean? So that's a good news story for
It
the
is a good
town.
news story,
And the
yeah.
fact of being able to say that there's 112 students, and how we come up with that. And the first thing that I was
Yeah.
looking at, I guess, is how much do we
It's 50
allocate?
It's $50 a student usually, and we have usually it's around 40 or less.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know I usually count them every year when I go over, but who got what. And, you know, I was surprised to see it was so many,
Yeah.
but then I was happy to see it was so many. you know.
Absolutely. The other thing that I've got there, and I just want to make sure that we're good on it, and that's the J. Miles construction, the exterior renovation for the History House. And I saw where Councillor Pollard had a couple of questions today to Director of Public Works and Infrastructure about that, and I'm just wondering if...
I did answer back that email,
Yeah, and I
actually.
don't, that's what I mean, I don't recall.
I was wondering the same there, because that's there, and then we got I think there's a motion in the Public Works as well, which sort of is the same thing,
Okay.
so I'm not sure.
So is the painting and whatever with that?
Yeah,
so
their
that's
contract is done.
that's-
That's-
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
All right, any other questions? No, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, hang on.
Sorry, I am
CAO.
correct on my math, that 88,925.87 is just for the operating invoices. The second part, the 25,507.12 is for the capital invoices. We need two motions, one for operating, one for capital.
Okay.
So the 88 covers the five outlined there, so you obviously Mellon, Holy Trinity High.
Yep.
And Glen Howard to receive the general, so we need a motion for the JD Mods and support systems.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Moved,
We'll
seconded.
go reverse order of which way it goes.
So it's for the bottom two capital invoices for $25,507.12. Is that right, Don? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay.
They're all right in.
Now they lost. You lost now.
No, not lost. I'm just deciding which way I was going to go with the next.
Director of Human Resources.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do the HR motions next. As everybody knows, we've been some time trying to fill some staff positions, or we run into a lot of staff positions that were left open for a period of time. And on that note, I'd like to welcome Jamie and Jen to the town, and hopefully they will enjoy their time with us. I do have two more motions here tonight to fill two other positions. One is a human resource position, and one is the Director of Corporate Services position. Council has had a chance to review the information on the individuals. So I'm prepared to put forward these two motions. The first one is that the Town of Torbay offer Mark Whalen the Director of Human Resources position. So moved.
Second.
Moved, seconded. Questions, comments?
You're going to shoot me now, but I guess I should have asked this before, but when we got into this earlier, and when we talked about that, we never did at any point in time talk about salary for those positions. Do we agree as a committee, HR committee
There's-
on,
Yeah. There's bands for that, right? There's ranges.
anyway?
That's my understanding from speaking to the deputy clerk upon my return, that was discussed at committee of whole and agreed upon
We had to go back to get the
for
applications.
the HR position.
Anyway, not for me to know.
Yes, Liz.
Any other questions? Okay. Okay.
Just, I guess, to Mary's point, so we don't know the exact salaries of these positions?
Yes, we do.
We know,
We do.
but we never do that publicly.
We spend the meeting and have a discussion in back versus having it out there in chambers.
Yeah, we can do that. I just want to make sure we're on the same page, that
we
that
can.
one person thinks it's going to be X, one person thinks it's going to be Y, and without saying anything, we're not supposed to say it, it'd be nice to
Yeah,
just double check, make sure no one's on
Yeah,
the.
we
on the
made a
page.
comment earlier tonight, and we were told, and we never got back to it, no, that's not what it was, but we never talked about what it actually is.
Now, and one other point of order, besides that, are we capable of pausing this meeting and unpausing this meeting?
Yes.
Confirmed? Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I'll say that was a technical difficulty, even though we know it wasn't, but it was. Anyway, back to, where are we? Councillor Pollard.
Thank you, Your Worship. Did we put the motion already in place? Was it seconded, do you know, or?
Yes.
Was it?
Pollard, second by Councillor Roach, it wasn't voted on.
Thank you.
I thought I seconded, there you go.
All right. Any questions?
Call the question.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Carry on.
Yes,
No question.
Stutter in time, yes. Second motion, see who is. Can I
Go again?
Come back in again? What do you
Go
think?
back again?
The Town of Torbay offer Norm Snellgrove the Director of Corporate Services position, so moved.
Second.
Mover, seconder, questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
See how easy that was?
There's a lot of difference when you got more information.
That it is, I agree 100%.
That's good. That's a good job, everyone. We had slight clarification, took 5 minutes, got clarification. Perfect. Well done.
The next part on the list is the auditor's report. And in prior year,
There's another motion there. Motion number 2.
We just did that?
Oh. I thought you, no, so the first one wasn't approved, was it?
Yeah, we did
Yes.
too.
Okay, yeah, I'm on.
but the first one was already in process when we,
Oh, okay.
when we went to the back room there.
All right.
That's
I'll
why
let you
it
know
only
the
seemed like
minutes
one.
after.
The audit report is there, and it's a different format than what we normally see. It looks like BDO's new way of doing business. And I prefaced it earlier saying that we had not had a chance yet as council of the whole or committee of the whole to review or have the auditor speak to it. I'm going to take a quick rundown through it. I think it's important for everybody to realize that what we see on a day-to-day basis, I guess, in our financial reports is markedly different than what is reported in financial statements under PSAB. It's we account for fixed assets and amortization and things that a little differently, whereas our day-to-day operations are based on cash. So there are some differences overall. The audit report itself is made up of how the auditors themselves went through, when they started, when they finished it, what their responsibilities were, and what the anticipated outcome is. There was some question around page 6. If we look at audit findings, the auditors do an evaluation of internal controls, and because of the size of the organization, it's really hard to have really, what we say, strong controls over some of the financial and other operational issues, just because of sheer size. So they had in their minds or looked at some things that they fear could possibly provide risk, management override control, existence of expenses, things of that nature. And then they put, while they identify a risk, they put audit procedures in place to try to make sure that there's nothing that is to worry about or fraud or anything along those lines associated with it. So their audit findings have been clear. They did not find any significant issues to need to be addressed. So the override of expenses, the management override of control had to do with management having the ability to approve things. Small company, it's possible that someone could approve something that no one else might see. So they put tests in place to try to cover all those things off. So that's the internal control matters. On page 7, they say that no control deficiencies were noted, in our opinion, are of significant importance to discuss. That's on page 7. Other required communications they issue is talk about the size, materiality, and when they mention materiality, they come in and look at the size of our operation and put a dollar value around their more in-depth research and findings. In this year was $186,000 was what their materiality figure was, and that essentially they will look at anything that has a $186,000 figure or beyond and do extensive work on that, whereas they'll just do a statistical test of all items necessarily under that to get to an audit opinion and to for the financial statements. So that's essentially, I guess, what it is in a nutshell. The part that we will have to do a little further clarification on, I guess, through the committee as a whole, is the explanation of the final page and where they talk about some discrepancies that they found, and I alluded to it earlier, how we account internally versus what a public-facing financial statement would look like. Not that I'm trying to say that these things aren't important, because they are, but they don't have the impact that maybe people would realize. The developers' deposits, for instance, would have been probably a recording error of some kind, and we'll verify this later, that we may have recorded as revenue, whereas actually it's a refundable deposit. It should have been set up as a refundable deposit. There's estimates made at the end of each year, for instance, the severance accrual, so they'll be based on years of service and things of that nature, as will there's information there on sick leave and annual leave, and there's some question as to how we may have recorded those or recognized those as liability, shall we say, on the books. Not huge. The whole question of the assets, amortization recorded before assets were put into use, which means we might have had something on the books that were actually purchased and not fully utilized. Maybe you bought a truck that needed a plow or something along those lines, but we started the amortization on that prior to having everything operational and out the door. Not correct, but not the end of the world from an operation perspective either. So there are some of those things, but we will get clarification on those items on page 23 in a little more detail once we speak to the auditors again. The next part is they do present financial statements, and the first thing is a statement of responsibility, realizing that the auditors don't do the statements. We actually do the statements ourselves, and it's our responsibility internally and as council to make sure that the statements represent fairly. The auditors will just come in and do a test on controls. From a financial position side of things, I guess if we look at the operations from year-to-year basis, we go to page 163, I guess, of the package is essentially the balance sheet, and you will see that from a cash perspective, we're in fairly good shape overall. We have $4.8 million in cash, or ready cash that we can put our hands on, as opposed to $3.9 million last year, so we're up some $0.9 million. That probably is a reflection of, our operation side of things were less expensive this year, mainly because of COVID and the whole change in how we did business. Like recreation took a big hit in terms of what they would have had to incur from an expense perspective, and certainly from a revenue intake perspective. But the expense is always larger on the recreation side than the revenue intake would be. Long-term debt has decreased by some $800,000, and the obligations on our capital lease have decreased by $125,000. So the long-term debt is once again probably partially indicative of the fact that we did not necessarily finish our capital projects or go out and get all our capital projects financed because of a COVID year. But we will, like I say, we'll review those again as we go through it. The next statement is the statement of consolidated operations, and you see that the annual surplus from a financial statement was $1.5 million, as opposed to a comparative budget of $1 million. The net debt at the beginning of the year, we went down some $2.8 million in net debt overall, so that's always good to decrease net debt, but we had budgeted a net debt of $3.2 million, so once again, it's probably indicative of the year and not where the town will be headed moving forward, because we still have some projects that need to get on the books, and we need to purchase some capital assets. The statement, consolidated statement of cash flows really shows where, I guess, the money has been spent throughout the year, not in precise detail, but certainly in where the cash comes from. It comes from the annual surplus of $1.5 million, which is the largest one. We bought $1.7 million worth of assets through the year, and we repaid debt of some $826,000, which is always good, and we paid $233,000 worth of obligations under capital lease. The remainder are notes to the financial statements that back up all the information that's presented on the front sheets. And it gives a breakdown of cash, what's cash made of, what our receivables are made of, what our guaranteed investment certificates are made of, our bank indebtedness. All our loans are listed there in terms of what they are and how much we have to pay annually on those. Note number 12 represents the payments over the next 5 years we have to do. I'm just seeing what notes I made here now, folks, for ease. The schedule of tangible capital assets is indeed all our assets that we purchased at cost, and it's important to note that this does not represent replacement value. So, for instance, on our books at the end of 2020, we're showing $65 million worth of assets, and that would include, you know, our buildings, our fleet, our infrastructures in the ground that we purchased at cost, and realistically, I guess if we had to go and replace all those things, we would probably be in the order of maybe at least twice to 3 times that value if we had to look at today's dollars to try to replace some of those things. And that was also noted in the auditor's report too, by the way, we should focus our operations towards our asset management plan. Schedule 2 is more comparable from our perspective, looking at everything on a day-to-day basis. When you look at your comparative to our taxation overall, we're slightly off in the collection of tax. A lot of it relates to penalties and interest, mainly because we weren't really operational. The interest rate at the bank for certainly any cash we would have had dropped off significantly. It was probably at 2% at the beginning of 2020, and it dropped quickly to probably a quarter of that over the year. So we lost what we would necessarily would have had budgeted for interest. Sales of goods and services. Recreation obviously is down substantially because of we just weren't operational last year. Government transfers, while we show that a lot of these are the Government of Canada ones and the provincial ones are really project related. So unless we did the projects, then we wouldn't necessarily have budget and actual equating unless they really did coincide with the proper timings and things of that nature. So our total revenue was $10.7 million actually. On the expense side of things, and I won't spend much longer on this, they were pretty much down all the way across the board if you run down through the page. And once again, and I say it mainly because of the fact that we were essentially closed for the year. The rest are breakdowns just by different categories and groupings. And that is my quick run through of the financial statements. If anybody has any questions at all, at any time, just drop me an email and I'll certainly try to answer as best I can. And like I say, we'll meet as a group to discuss them further in detail once council gets a chance to digest these statements. So I put a motion to accept the draft financial audit statements. So moved.
Second.
Mover and seconder, comments?
No, I just wanted to, I guess, reiterate that we'll have this potentially on a committee of the whole meeting, so that if any questions or so that we've got the next course of action all allocated or wrote up that we know we're going to follow.
Yeah. Councilor Pollard, thank you. That was really
Good
good
job.
synopsis. I think that
Yeah.
you explained it pretty good. And for someone who said, "But I never had a chance to look at it yet," obviously you took some kind of a look at it. Anyway, very good. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. You done?
So that's my report, Your Worship.
Thank you. All right, economic development.
Can
and
I ask
tourism.
just one question before we get off? And I think last time we talked about it, it was with finance, just so that we can go back just in the essence of time with things. And that was the signs for the common. Do you have, is that with you as in finance, or where would we, because I checked with Public Works and Infrastructure, and it's not with them.
It's
So,
under administration and
It is.
finance, actually. The deputy clerk was dealing, in my absence, was dealing with the COA. So I'll reconfirm with that and advise council.
okay, because those signs need to get up for where the common is located, and we got that money with a COA that we need to make sure that we're in the process of spending.
That it?
Yep.
All right, economic development and tourism. There's some minutes there. Somebody want to deal with that in the absence of two committee members?
Well, there's only an update if you want me just to,
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if anybody's got any questions, but Deanne is not here to.
Council Thorngrass is really good at reading motions and everything tonight, so it's certainly.
I know, so what is another one, right? An update from the town's economic development and tourism activities. The Rural Development Network update. Members of Rural Development Network met with the town staff and two members of council to discuss the Sustainable Housing Initiative, as well as Torbay's application for support with potential development of housing strategy. The RNDN will be assessing all applications to provide an update. Big Data Regional Demographics Initiative. The next regional meeting is scheduled for June 9th, and the EDO will be attending on behalf of Torbay. Regional Wayfinding Project. 10 regional partners met on May 25th to review the scope of work for Phase 2 of the Wayfinding Project. The Green Team, touched on that earlier. The town map, the current town map, was recently reviewed by internal staff addressing the additional infrastructure and assets within the community that will need to be added. A scope of work will be created with intentions of an RFP to be posted in the summer. That's really good to know. The regional collaboration opportunity, the town is supporting the PSCP chapter chamber with the application to the province that will support a regional approach to development and agricultural strategy for the participating Killy Coast communities. That's good. Reading on this for the first time. Tourism, garden tourism.
I'm trying to follow on here, right, and I couldn't see what exactly you were talking. I was looking at the wrong minutes. Carry on.
Oh, okay.
Are you only reading that now for the first time?
What?
Are you only reading that now for
I'm
the first
reading
time?
that, like looking at this. Yes. I had job enough trying to get for my own. Tourism, garden tourism, the EDO and Director of Planning visited town of Bay Roberts on May 28 to discuss garden tourism, community enhancement and tourism. That laps over in what I was saying. You need to look in your package. That's a really good initiative that they have out there. Like that's another really good thing that was happening, but I missed that. The EDO has met with Public Works regarding locations in Torbay to develop the tulip gardens. And it's a really good price as well for all the tulips, so put that in there. I figured, so should have had a motion in that for my other meeting. Tourism Week in Torbay was May 24th to the 30th. Culture and Heritage Torbay History House and Museum update. The latest construction work plan is scheduled from Fundamental Inc. has been submitted to ACOA and the Department of Innovation, Energy and Technology. The manager position closed on May 21st. And the follow-up at the last meeting, the EDO contacted FCM for additional resources that aid municipalities involved supportive practices to help build awareness and grow efforts in reconciliation received from FCM in documents called Pathways. Community requests, the town received inquiries from both the town Torbay Folk Arts Council and Torbay Beach Committee regarding the opportunity to build a performing platform along the coastline, as well as build staircase access to a portion of the Torbay Beach. That's another really good one. The town is reviewing all aspects related to the request with consideration that the area be in a designated management unit. So there's always a fine line, because some of this, I guess, between the different committees, because we touched that on Public Works and Infrastructure at our last meeting as well. That's it.
All right, thank you.
Any questions on that? Wait till next week.
No, I just got I guess, a couple of comments. Yes, you're right, that thing with Bay Roberts is awesome. When they reached out to me to see if we were interested,
Yes?
and I got Julia and Deanne engaged almost right away.
Excellent. There's
And,
excellent pictures net in here
I know,
for
we
this.
jumped at it.
Yeah.
So their hope is to create
I can't help. Tony's better for this way.
a garden, their hope is to create a garden tourism thing where they can promote us and we can promote
Yeah.
them, and, you know, people travel around looking at flowers. It's pretty cool. And the other thing that I would mention is that it's really nice to see this Indigenous People Day that you were talking about, you know, particularly now with everything that's in the news. I think there's a lot of people that live in our town that have Indigenous heritage and that we probably don't even know about it, you know, and I know my grandmother was from Labrador, and so there's a lot of people that within our town. I think if we start potentially having a event for that, and then we could probably get the people out and find out exactly where they're from. I know that in the census information, there's a lot of people that lives on the northeast Avalon that have Aboriginal or Indigenous or you know, those type of heritage, and it'd be really good if we could find something to celebrate that. And I think that this is where this is going, and I'm really pleased to see it there. So anyway, that's all I got to say. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Councilor Roach?
In just what you're saying and what has happened now and has come to light about the children being lost, I think that would be nice for the town of Torbay, because I know other towns have done it, have written a letter to the chief down there and to express our sympathies and giving our personal support to them, you know?
Right.
Because it's so tragic, and they're coming up with more findings, you know? So just a suggestion, you know, as a courtesy and
right.
as a parent,
Yeah,
and a lot of us are.
we could do something like that if the council is supportive. We could follow the
Yes, you know, sort of like, sort of to show that we are deeply hurt about what happened to them and with those schools. And I'm a Roman Catholic myself, and I got to say I am so depressed over what the Pope didn't do.
Sorry, I gotta go.
Okay, bye.
Somebody else is gonna have to chair the meeting.
We're going.
Sure, go on. Go on. You're always talking anyway.
Okay, hope everything's okay. All right, we were just, and I guess that ends the,
Not
Sorry.
a development.
okay, let's just take the time when the mayor left. Do we need a motion for me to take over in absence of mayor, deputy mayor?
So moved.
I'm not gonna make it. I'll entertain a motion to be temporarily take over as chairperson for the meeting.
So moved.
Okay, we have a
Second.
mover, seconder. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Mary, did you say yes? That's, I'm just joking. Okay, okay, we're good. Sorry, I'm a little flustered after that. So we are finished the economic development report, and now we're doing.
I just want to, before we leave, is that there was 2 updates in there, but I did the last one first, so it basically entails what was in the first one. So I just wanted for clarification, that is pretty much the same, just for the update, where we missed the meeting. One was May 20th, and the one that I updated was from June 3rd, just for clarification on that.
Okay. Duly noted. Okay, Infrastructure and Public Works Committee, Councillor Thorngoss.
Tony. Oh, my. Anyway, Infrastructure and Public Works meeting. We had our meeting on June 9th. Myself, Councillor Pollard, and Director Winter. And again, to 2020-2021 projects, History House. I have a motion here to release the 10% holdback to J.D. Moyles in the amount of $15,791.92 HST included for the completion of the exterior restoration scope of work as contracted. So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a mover and a seconder. Any discussion on the motion?
And that's what I mentioned, I guess, when referring to when Councillor Pollard was doing his update, so all is good there.
Okay, hearing no comments. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion passes.
Stormwater Management Plan implementation. I'm not going to get into a lot of the write-up beforehand. I'll just jump right into the motion. Motion to proceed with a tender for job number 2021-008, Skipper's Landing Stormwater Upgrade prepared by Progressive Engineering as presented in the tender and drawings attached. So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a mover and a seconder. Any discussion?
And I'd just like to add in there, I guess, where the committee reviewed the drawings and tender estimate for the stormwater upgrades at Skipper's Landing. Director noted that there will be some additional work required downstream in the rear of a couple of properties on Cherrywood Drive and Western Island Pond. And the requirements are being drafted now for this area. And that's basically it, just for anybody listening at home. Okay.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes.
The old depot renovation project, tender documents should be ready for release in a week or so. Is there anything new on that?
No, I didn't hear anything today.
Okay.
I'll check on it tomorrow, actually.
All right, perfect. Flow meter project. Leak detection, there's been some issues with assessing the valves. So our sewer techs are in the process of removing all the covers. Committee reviewed the report on the feasibility of an intake extension at Norpon. After some discussion, it was agreed that the town would accept the report and recommendations and defer the extension to coincide with the design of the new pump house and treatment plant. Any remaining funds can be reallocated to extra leak detection. And this report was circulated to all council last week right after our meeting, so that everybody would have a chance to review it before tonight's meeting. So as a result, I have a motion here to adopt the report titled Torbay Water System Upgrades, Intake Relocation, Analysis dated May 18, 2021, prepared by the Wood Group and its recommendations to defer the extension to coincide with the design of the new pump house and treatment plant. Any remaining funds can be reallocated to extra leak detection. So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions?
Yes, I'd like to know where the new pump house is going to be.
I don't know where.
Is there a...
We're still waiting for a response from the province, Councillor Roach, on where that stands in process. We're waiting for them to let us know where our application stands in process for the water treatment plant.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not a done deal yet then,
No.
is it? Okay.
Yeah,
But-
just saying there about the new pump house, we don't know where that's.
Oh, sorry.
basically- I know, I knew that, sorry about that,
Sorry,
but I
it's
just
on
wanted
sidebar
to
here.
make sure.
The location of new pump house, you were saying?
Yeah, that's what
It would be in the general
Councillor Roach is
area,
asking.
same general area
Yeah.
as existing.
Does that answer your question, Councillor?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns? Comments? Okay, hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried.
Salt sand storage building, committee agreed that the project needs to be properly engineered and managed, so as a result of that, We have a motion to approve Progressive Engineering proposal to manage the salt storage building project in the amount of $19,203.38. This project is budgeted item for the 2021 budget. So moved.
Second.
Okay, we got a mover and a seconder. Any comments, questions, or discussions? Okay, motion passes? Okay, oh, sorry, all those in favor, sorry, a little distracted.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? No, okay, motion passes. Okay, let's just trudge through here, guys. What's next, Councillor Thorngoss? That was the salt and sand storage building.
There's nothing really now until I get down to the annual line painting. And we had received 3 quotes. And I have a motion here to award the line painting contract for 2021 to Tough Coat in the amount of $14,525 plus HST. This is a budgeted item for 2021. So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a mover
There is a
and a...
motion before that too, by the way. There's a roadwork motion under H, but we'll get this one first, it's fine.
This is carry through with the motion for
Send
line
me the
painting
page.
on page 225 there for everybody. So we have a mover and a seconder. Any discussions? Okay, I'll call the question, or sorry, Councillor.
No, I was going to say.
Sorry. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Okay, multi-year capital works funding. The committee discussed at the committee of the whole meeting on Monday night and agree with the top priorities listed below. So, probably should go down over each of those, consider it's
Sorry.
something that, I was just going to go to the motion, but I think that we're each one of them, so I'll probably go down over each one of those and take a bit longer, but I think it'll be worth it.
Yeah, it's just you have a mover, get a mover and a seconder, and we can do the discussion, right? So, Tony, did you second that?
No, the motion wasn't read out
The
yet.
breakdown is included in the motion as well.
Okay, all right, then I'll go right to the motion.
Yeah.
Further to correspondence, COR/2020/03733 dated May 4th, 2021, from the Honorable Elvis Lovelace, Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure, regarding the town of Torbay funding allocation under the 2020 to 2023 multi-year capital works program, and based on cost-shared ratios, the town of Torbay will submit priorities totaling $4,022,537.93, of which $2,111,268,965 is the provincial portion. Priorities submitted for departmental approval are as follows. Okay. Road work, Dunphy's Lane, 200 and, do I need to get into the, I'm just going to read out, I think, because it's not going to mean anything at the end of the day if I don't read out the estimated cost, or I guess make any difference. Dunphy's Lane, $202,702.34. Cantwell Place, $44,547.63. Gallows Cove Road, $175,652. McCormick Place, $39,664.79. Russworthy Place, $56,579.76. Hiscox Lane, $51,079.69. Quarry Road Extension Intersection Street Upgrade, $157,860.11. Robin Place, $460,121.74. Goss's and Rogers Crescent Storm Sewer and Road, $315,200. Crowley Place, $72,600. Bullockstown Road, $250,300. Wittens Lane, $180,800. Updated roads assessment, $18,500. Stormwater, 1,432,775.28. Gully area, 637,740.58. White Waste Pond area, 139,852.39. Island Pond Brook area, 655,182.31. Open space and trails, upper three-corner pond, park, 129,029.10. Pine Ridge Multipurpose Court, 96,194.64. Repairs to junior softball field, 49,730.85. Torbay Common, for a backup generator, $289,200. So moved.
Now I have a mover
Second.
and a seconder.
Second.
Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns?
So this report was put together, some of it was put together by the Public Works and Infrastructure, and then we went down over it and had a meeting with the Committee of the Whole, where everybody had a chance to input on this, and this is what we came up with.
Anyone else? Any comments?
Call the question.
Everyone good?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to just briefly talk to this because just want to, where it's such a large important thing, just want to echo, I guess, the work that staff and council's put into this. It's a significant investment in the road work, stormwater, open space, and our recreation infrastructure. So I'm really glad we were able to come to this and put this money in, and it's going to be a good, really good thing for our community. Okay, and with that, call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carried. Good job, everybody.
The
to you.
emergency preparedness plan, this just noted that the CAO now has that in her capacity. Storage garage for the Torbay Common Building, there's a small shed now that will become available once the old depot renovation is completed. And the spring cleanup, there's just some numbers there on how many turned out for that. And the depot sign, I asked about to get the depot sign. I guess we were going to use the one from the old Kinsman Center, or Common, and have that repurposed for the depot. Did I miss anything?
H. Motion.
Yeah, you got
H.
yeah, Councilor Fungas, if you go to page 224, I believe you missed one motion a little earlier that
224?
Councilor Paul is referring to.
No. Which one did I miss? Give me the name of it.
On,
Ready Drive. Ready
section-
Drive, Country Drive.
1H on page 224.
If you've got it
me
there.
read it.
2021 roadwork project.
Yeah, if
Councilor
you,
Gus.
It's
if
not
you've got
bolded.
it there, then you probably should go with it.
So the committee reviewed the drawing and tender estimates for this year's roadwork projects on Ready Drive and Country Drive. The Director of Infrastructure and Public Works noted that sidewalk on Ready Drive was designed as a gravel sidewalk, and the total cost to make it concrete will be around $17,000. There's money still remaining in the budget, so we figure if we're going to do that, we're just well to put the sidewalk in while we got the opportunity to do it under the funding money we have. So we got a motion to proceed with tender for 2021 roadworks project, the repaving of section of Ready Drive and the recapping of Country Drive as per Progressive Engineering drawing, project number 2021-012, with the addition of making the sidewalk on Ready Drive concrete instead of gravel. Funding for these projects was previously approved by council under the town's gas tax funding arrangement. So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Is that it for your report, Councilor?
That's it.
That's it.
I'm not opening that again.
See if we can find you some other reports to read out now.
My shared night.
second.
I think that's it.
Just trying to scroll back to where we were. 1 second. There's the streets and recreation's next, I believe, somewhere. Here we go. Okay, I'll just give a quick update for, actually, Councillor Thorngoss, can you read it up for me? Since I'm kind of chairing.
You're serious, too? Okay.
Or Councillor, someone else.
You got
just-
it on your, ready to call up there?
It's on page
Yeah.
279.
Yeah, I got it here now.
All right, thank you.
Okay, recreation, community services update for June 14th. Staffing updates, Department Director Jen Martin commences her employment with the town effective June 14th. Program update. Welcome aboard. Program, you're still here anyway, getting really thrown into the fire tonight. Program update provided by Scott Martin, Community Services Coordinator. Concert in the Park has begun. 40 people showed up to the first at the Torbay Common. This will continue on Thursdays in June and move to Tuesdays in July and August. And I think that that's going to be promoted now by the town, right? That we will end up, because there's, I guess, some, not mix-up, but there's some that are taking place at the beach and at the History House and that as well. So we want to make sure that residents know, I guess, which ones are taking place at which times, because it's going to be like quite a few of them, thank God. July and August calendar will be in residents' mailbox soon. Summer event registration for residents is live on June 15th and the general public on June 22nd. Rentals are concluding for the summer. Summer rentals are getting ready to start. Training week for summer staff will begin the end of June. Planting of the seedlings will be done during Environment Week. And all softball leagues have started at Upper Three Corner Pond Park. And I can vouch for that because the senior lady started last week. And I just got one question there, and one comment that I'm just going to bring up, and for anybody that's been trying to get in touch with the Common, there's an issue, am I saying that right, CL, with the telephone system at the Common if they're
That's correct.
calling.
That's correct
So-
now, so any messages go right to the staff's email, if by chance they don't answer the phone, so they are receiving
Okay,
messages.
all right, perfect. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thorngoss. Okay, next we have on the agenda here, this looks like the lease agreement for Jack Byrne Arena. This is the Jack Byrne Arena portion here. Next on the agenda. So, Deputy Mayor is not, who would speak to JBA? That's you, Councillor Pollak?
I would. The lease agreement is submitted there, and I guess His Worship would have to speak to that. I noticed the changes are there, and I don't see any motions. So, CA, I don't know if any instructions were left for any motions related to the Jack Byrne agreement or anything along those lines.
There was no comment, this was circulated to council prior to, and there was no feedback received. The mayor had asked for it to be added to the agenda, but we could bring it back to the next council meeting with a motion to accept.
I'd recommend that we do that, I guess, just for, I don't think we should proceed without the mayor.
And I just noticed as well here that the financial statements are there. I don't have a problem with speaking to those, because there's one thing of note that they will come up, and we did have a conversation before. The auditor's report for the financial statements is there. Obviously, the Jack Byrne Arena is much different operation than the town is, so there's not a whole lot related to the financial side of things. The operation did have a loss of $63,000 in 2020. And according to the lease agreement, that loss is to be allocated amongst the towns. And I noticed in the notes of the financial statements, and I did have a conversation with the auditors on this, because they did have that covered off in the financial statements, which is their right to do according to the terms of the lease agreement. I know in a conversation at a meeting of the Jack Byrne Arena, other towns had actually contributed their amount to cover it according to the lease agreement that was essentially in effect at the time, I guess, since the new one wasn't renewed, although that would say exactly the same thing. If you go to note number 11, which is on page 308 of 318, according to Article 35 of the lease agreement, an amount of $63,744 has been accrued to fund the operating deficit of the arena for fiscal year ended December 31st, 2020. The allocation between the towns in accordance with Article 5 is as follows.
So we don't have a quorum right now.
No.
Okay, so I'd like to call a recess.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, we're back. All apologies for that brief interruption there, guys. Councillor Pollard, I believe you were talking about the Jack Byrne Arena when we last left off.
I was, thank you. I was saying that according to town and our terms in the lease agreement is we're due to pay our percentage of the subsidy. I know the other towns have paid or have voted to pay. Two have paid for sure. I know one at the last Jack Byrne Arena, one was voting to pay, just waiting to get the check cut, and we're the outstanding town. Not that that necessarily bothers me, but I think it would be prudent for us to live up to our end of the bargain rather than go through the process at the next meeting of why we didn't live up to our terms of the lease agreement as owners. The money won't be lost. The money's still there in the Jack Byrne Arena. It is an operating deficit. There is money there that you know, will sustain for a short period of time, but at the end of the day, we will have to do this anyway, I would expect. So I would put a motion for the town of Torbay to honor the lease agreement for the town subsidies in the amount of $36,334 to Jack Byrne Arena. So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a mover and a seconder. Any questions or concerns?
I have all kinds of concerns. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I certainly have all kinds of concerns, and those concerns we're trying to address at the table of the arena at the present time. We know that they need to get in a situation where they start covering the cost of operations. COVID was a special year. I mean, obviously they didn't have much chance to generate much business, although, you know, compliments to the staff. They did a great job in terms of doing the bingos, and they got the staff subsidies and the grants, whatever grants were available. So they did the best they could in that scenario. But the arena did run a deficit, and that's something we'll have to be watchful of moving forward when, you know, hockey season comes back and the arena gets back in full use. But I think that, you know, given the fact in good faith with our neighboring towns, we should go ahead and pay as I suggested. That's all.
Yeah, I was just going to just comment on the fact that this came up a while back, and if the other towns have paid it and it's something that's outstanding, then if they're having a meeting next week to this, so I agree with the motion.
Just got the Councillor Roche. Do you have any questions?
Yes, one. How come we didn't pay our side, our fee, our part?
We just had the financial statements now, and it was a topic that came up at our last Jack Byrne Arena meeting.
Yes.
And then everyone pointed to us saying, well, as part of the lease agreement, you guys need to live up to your end of the bargain. And we were holding off because they do have cash, but that was, you know, a month ago now, so they're probably down a bit more. So,
Just but no matter what somebody else does, we got to own up to our,
we do.
you know? Because we're the ones who started all this off in the first place. And we're lucky we're getting as good a, you know, response from the other towns. But we got to make sure we keep our part of the bargain.
Okay.
Let's be leaders in this.
So I think we've got a comment from staff, CEO.
I'm reviewing the expense statement, and I don't see that as a budgeted item for this year. So where are the funds going to come from to pay our budget?
Chances are they probably come from the recovery we did for the Snowmageddon, which wasn't a budgeted revenue item as well, which is some, I don't know the figure off the top of my head now, some $50,000.
Some recommendations back to the committee.
We won't, we can see, I don't think we'd have any trouble finding, I think if you look at the money we got back from Snowmageddon itself, I would think, which wasn't budgeted, but we covered it off. Or somewhere, for the $36,000,
So we had talked about that before. It had originally been in the budget, but when we went down over our budget, that was one of the numbers that we had removed, so, and we had talked about that in the past.
Okay. So I guess my 2 cents of that. Of course, we have the revised lease agreement that we're going to hold off on voting on since the mayor is not here. And also, I did notice that part of that revised lease agreement happens to be, there's specifically the percentages that we all have to pay. Torbay is currently 56%, as they've been. I noticed that there's some red there, kind of changing some things from the latest, it says here, instead of being the latest census data, to go what was there originally. That's just kind of a side thing. Just I find it kind of ironic that we're getting the bill the same day that the percentage of responsibilities is kind of in red. And of course, there's been lots of hot topics about how we, have 40% of the board and 56% of the bill, right? So, again, that's just a thing we've been living with for years. But I would feel more comfortable, and I'm all fine with paying 56% now, but this is an unbudgeted item, and we're kind of shorthanded right here, right now, with a couple of, we're barely holding on to a quorum. I would prefer, right now I'm okay with it, but I prefer if we defer this to the next meeting. Like, we can pay next time. I don't think there's a big rush to get this done, but I'd certainly like to have the opinions of the other councillors who are not here, as opposed to rushing through a non-budget item. And normally when we do non-budget items, we go through finance committee, we get those details and stuff like that. So that would be my advice.
You mean recommend it back to the committee?
in fairness, on that, sorry, Councillor Roach, go ahead.
I was going to say, you're referring it back, you're suggesting we refer it back to the committee to come back with something.
Well, I guess just on the go-around, we mover, seconder, just my 2 cents were I would feel much more comfortable supporting this motion if we deferred it now and did it next week for the reasons I just outlined.
I can defer. I don't have a problem with deferral. We can go back and show exactly where it comes from. I know we had this discussion previously when CAO wasn't here as well. This is a December 2020, I'll say, liability as well, so.
Okay, so is that a motion to defer?
I'll defer.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of deferment of the said motion, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
No. I don't
Yeah.
believe in it. I think we should pay our bills.
Okay, so we got three for defer, 1 for no. Okay, so motion passes. Okay, great. Is
Deferral
that,
passes.
sorry, thank you, Council, for that. So I think that reaches the end of our official agenda, and, or I guess our, now, since we were finished our agenda, we move on to the last couple of items here, which would be, okay, new business. And everyone else passed except for myself, right? That's what happened? I don't have the notes here. So I think that's the, is that correct? Kim?
All I know is you didn't pass.
No, I'd say thanks every council meeting, man, all except for one.
Council Roach wanted to come back.
Oh, okay. Councillor Roach, you had a new agenda item. You wanted to say welcome back?
Yes, I wanted to say welcome back to our mayor, who's not here, but he'll hear me over the intercom there, and to welcome our new staff. It's so nice to see lovely faces again and fresh blood and energy around us. You know, you can get the vibes. So welcome to us, and welcome to all of us, because we're like a family here. You know. We might have times when we're arguing and things like that, and I'm taking the time now, I know, you get to get home, and so have I. But you'll get to learn to adjust and everything else like that. It takes maybe a little bit of time because we new people. But you'll find we're all really for the same good for the residents, and that's what we're here for. So, thank you.
Great. Okay. I just wanted to say a quick thanks to the staff of council. Well, I was going to thank you for something else, but I'm changing, and I say thank you for tonight, sticking through and getting through this meeting, and certainly hope everything is okay with everybody. Whew, okay, questions and answers. Kim, is there anything on the hotline?
We have nothing submitted.
Nothing submitted.
Yes.
Okay. And hearing no questions and answers, the next public council meeting is currently scheduled to take place on June 28th here at Council Chambers, and you can, of course, tune in live the same way we are right now. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Mover, seconder? Non-debatable. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you, everybody.